Today I'm roasting some potatoes. This is a drill. This video is actually being recorded near the start of December. This is a kind of dry run for Christmas dinner roast potatoes. And I want to make them really Christmassy. So what we've got here on the board is rosemary, thyme, sage, garlic, a lemon, an orange. Now best if you can get unwaxed. Unwaxed lemons are not too hard to find. Unwaxed oranges, almost impossible. They're usually waxed to make them last longer. So you can remove the wax from the skin by giving it a good scrub under hot water apparently, which I've done. Anyway, we've got salt, black pepper, ground ginger and nutmeg. And then some olive oil, probably about 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil there. This is going to be what goes on the outside of the potatoes before they go in the oven. And this is going to make them tasty and crispy and hopefully Christmassy. Well, just to clear a bit of space, so the first thing is the salt, the pepper, the ginger, orange is trying to get away there, the nutmeg. Those spices are going to start infusing into that oil, distributing their aromatics into the oil. Next, the herbs, and I'm just going to discard any little bits of woody stalk, especially on the rosemary, so we'll just pull off the tender parts. Now this is just a mixture of herbs and spices I happen to have chosen here. You could do almost anything here. The key sort of combination is something acidic, something aromatic and something oily. I've not made exactly this sort of roast potatoes before. This is a iteration on something I've been trying. This is hopefully going to be the finalized version for Christmas Day to have alongside our roast turkey. But yeah, I have been playing with this. One thing that's really good for the acid instead of lemon juice is pickle juice. That might sound a really weird idea, but it was so tasty. Not especially Christmassy though, so it was a good one. The garlic as well. And I'm going to chop this rather than crushing it, just because I happen to be here doing everything else anyway. So we'll just chop all of these herbs and garlic together. And I'm looking to get these chopped really down to very small pieces. So I'm just going to keep on running the knife through that, chopping like that, until I feel like we've got down to smallish pieces. Now I'm using fresh herbs here, but absolutely nothing wrong with using dried herbs for this. This is a dried herb mix, so this has got rosemary, sage, parsley, thyme, oregano, various other things in there, herbs de Provence, something like that. But yeah, or any kind of aromatic herbs you like. So, you know, if you can't necessarily get or you don't like the things I'm putting here, then maybe something else. But yeah, dried herbs, perfectly fine. Garlic powder, probably also perfectly fine. It's a different flavour, but the point is here, we're trying to pack in a whole load of flavours on the crust of these potatoes. Anyway, chopped herbs and garlic are going to go into that glass of oil, along with the spices. Now, for very good reason, we're starting this before I'm preparing the potatoes because I want those flavours to infuse into that oil. Next, the lemon. This is a lemon zesting tool. You can use like the fine side of a box grater or something like that for the same task, but this one just takes off thin shreds of lemon zest like that. So we're going to have lemon zest in there as well, and some of this orange zest. Now if I had a clementine, that would be even more Christmassy, but I had trouble finding clementines that were sufficiently firm to be able to zest like this. My search continues and I'm sure I will find some. So maybe for Christmas Day we'll have clementine instead of orange. But anyway, so there's about a teaspoonful each of lemon and orange zest there. And again, I'm going to chop this up mainly to make sure that it doesn't end up just falling off the potatoes. If it's smaller pieces, it's more likely to stick in place. So that also is going to go into that glass. Most of it anyway. And again, we'll give that a stir. Looking quite brown and unpromising at this stage, but don't worry. Now we want the juice of this lemon. We may end up wanting more than the juice of this one lemon as well. We might have a bit of the orange. So there's about probably 2-3 tablespoons of lemon juice there. I think we could stand to have the juice of half of this orange in there as well. Oh, I should have cut that up. I think this is a lemon squeezer, not an orange squeezer, and it takes a little bit more grip strength than I have. There we go. So I've got about basically 1/3 of a cup of acid, 1/3 of a cup of oily herby mixture, and that's all going to sit there in this glass while we get the potatoes ready. Essentially what we've made here is a very complex and split vinaigrette. Except, of course, there's no vinegar in here. But there could be. Instead of that lemon and orange juice, we could have used vinegar there. We could have used wine vinegar, cider vinegar, malt vinegar even, or pickle juice. Pickle juice is usually vinegar, or if it's fermented pickles, it's lactic acid. Again, any kind of culinary acid is going to be good in there. Acid, oil, aromatics, salt. Anyway, potatoes. These are Maris Piper potatoes. Really nice potato for roasting. They've got a floury, crumbly texture when they're roasted. So, just going to give those a wash first. All right, now I am going to peel these potatoes, or at least some of them wholly, some of them partially. I'll explain in a minute anyway. To get really crispy roast potatoes, you do need to expose some of the flesh underneath. So otherwise you're just going to end up with baked potatoes with lovely tasty skin, I'm sure, but they won't be super, super crispy. These outside bits don't go as crispy as the starchy inside of the potato will when it's coated with oil. So for cases like this, where this is actually not a very nice looking potato on the outside anyway, I'm going to peel entirely. For specimens like this, where it's actually quite a nice looking potato, I'm going to do what I call lazy peeling, which goes something like this. Oh, peel potatoes. Oh, do I have to? Oh, fine. There. I hope you're happy. So yeah, lazy peel potatoes go something like that, where we will remove about 50% of the skin in uneven slices. We'll have 2 lazy, we'll have 2 completely peeled. Now it's worth saying actually there are other ways to peel potatoes. You can parboil them and the skins will just slip off. That might be another way to do it. And then I thought, just as an experiment, since we have the lemon zester here, what happens if we do that? Lazy peel with the zester, because then we're creating even more little ridges and surface area here. So anyway, we're going to have some of them, 2 of them lazy peeled with the zester. I'll make a judgment on which method seems to yield the right, or the crispiest or best potatoes, if we can actually tell the difference between these when they're done, that is. There we go. So yeah, so I suppose you could do that with a grater as well if you wanted to, but anyway, there's what I call a lazy peeled potato done with the zester. That's a lazy peeled one done with a peeler, so it's just got smooth slices taken off. And of course you all know what a peeled potato looks like. Next, got a big pan of cold water. I'm going to chop these potatoes up into nice big pieces. So the smaller potatoes into 2 pieces like that. The bigger ones into 3. And I'll probably deliberately go a little bit uneven and irregular just to create more surface area. It's all about the surface area. That one's probably only 2 pieces. That one 3. So those now need to go on the heat and brought to the boil and then simmered until they're not quite falling apart, but until they're nearly completely cooked. Also really important, this oil and lemon juice mix and herbs doesn't go in yet. Now obviously roast potatoes are a meal accompaniment. It's not Christmas yet. I'm recording this at the start of December. But to go with this anyway, because this is a meal for us, I've got some chicken wings, which I've seasoned with a bit of pepper, some salt, garlic granules, or garlic powder, and smoked paprika. And then we'll have a little bit of oil on that. And then I'm just going to get in there and massage those together, make sure that those seasonings get all over, or nearly all over the pieces of chicken. Something like that. And that's going to go in the oven at the same time as the potatoes. It will take about the same amount of time to cook. Potatoes are starting to come to the boil now. So in a minute I'll turn those down. And I'm just going to keep monitoring them by just poking them with a knife, actually, and we'll feel, I mean, you can sometimes even hear how well done they are when you poke them with a sharp knife. But we'll keep simmering these until they are soft and starting to sort of almost break apart on the outside. As much in a spirit of why the heck not as anything else, I've got this half an orange left. So what we'll do, let's just nestle that in the middle of those chicken wings and we'll see what happens. I hope it will cook and caramelize a little bit. Perhaps we'll make a kind of orangey gravy to go with this. Right, these potatoes. These have been going about 10 minutes now and they are starting to get soft on the outside. I'm going to take them a little bit further than that, but they are starting to soften up. So I'm going to monitor them really carefully. We don't want to boil them away to make soup. But also we don't want them to be rock hard because, well, one of the stages that's coming later is going to kind of rough up the outside of these potatoes, and they need to be soft, at least on the outside. And then as all that other stuff is happening, every time I walk past this glass with the juice and oil and herbs and spices in it, I just give it a little stir up just to let those flavours all get to know each other. Okay, we've had about probably nearly 20 minutes on these potatoes and I reckon they're done. And so my this is a judgment call thing actually, so what we're looking for is they feel a little bit soft under the point of the knife. One way you can test is they don't stick on the knife when you try and stab them and pick them up. But another way you can test is just by twisting the knife a little bit in there, and if you end up with a little bit of kind of soft mashed potato, then they're ready to go. Now I think the skins are actually going to fall off of some of these, but that's fine. It's all good. So I will drain these potatoes into a pan because this starchy water that comes off them is actually quite good for making gravy. I'm not sure whether we're going to need it today, but I'll keep it anyway, give myself the option. Okay, potential safety hazard now, because what we need to do is shake these potatoes to break up the outside. This is best done in a pan with a strong handle and a lid that you can hold firmly onto the pan. You see what's happened to the outside of those potatoes? They've all kind of smashed up. This is not a bug, this is a feature. And now my oil and lemon juice and herb mix is all just going to go over the top of those potatoes. And then another little shake just to get them nicely coated. And then into a roasting pan. And all this gooey stuff down the bottom here, we'll try and get that to fall onto the potatoes because that's just bits of potato and bits of herb. And then we can see there's one bit there. There's a bit of naked potato there. Can't be having that. Good. I think we're good. And yeah, if any of them look like they need a little bit more like they missed out. We'll just daub some of that stuff on that's collected down the bottom here. We'll just make sure it's all on these potatoes. This is not science, it's magic. So something like that. Let's get those in the oven. Top shelf the oven, 200 Celsius, probably 45 minutes, but we'll check them after half an hour. We're about halfway through cooking, and I've just given these chicken wings a little jiggle around just to make sure that the ones that aren't quite so crispy get a little bit of exposure to the top and get a chance to crisp up. But also there's quite a bit of liquid collecting in the bottom there, which is going to inhibit browning. What I like to do is use a basting pipette. Just pick that up and put it in a container. That's a basting pipette, by the way. Turkey baster. And what we've got here is a mixture of oil that we added, fat that's rendered out of the chicken, and then juices that have come out of the chicken underneath. I want to put the fat back on here, but I want to take off those juices, the watery bits. So again, I'm going to use the basting pipette to go right to the bottom of the glass and pick up the watery bits from the bottom. And then those go into this jug here, and that's going to go in my gravy. The rest of that is just oil and fat from the chicken and that we added earlier, so that can go back over the top. And then those are going to go back in the oven to finish roasting. I know this isn't a video about chicken wings, weirdly, but here I am talking about chicken wings. All right, these potatoes are, I think, done. Now, you could take them further than this, and if you like darker roasted potatoes than this, then more power to you. I think this is about right for me. So let's get a close look at these potatoes. Or perhaps I should say, let's listen to these potatoes. What we've got is a kind of crispy crust on the outside of the potato. They're going to be perfectly soft inside. Yeah, I can get a knife right into them. They're really soft. They're going to be fluffy inside. And on the outside, we've still got this coating, this bark of herby, spicy, oily, lemony, orangey stuff. Going to let these cool a little bit while we just steam the vegetables. And then we'll give one of these a taste. The chicken wings are about as crispy as I'd like them to be. Now, be quiet. That was Eva, you might have heard in the background there, by the way, telling me that she likes chicken. I already knew that. Right, these chicken wings, I'm going to just take them out of this roasting pan now. That orange is cooked, and we'll just keep that to one side as well. Because now what I'm going to do is have about a tablespoon of flour in there. I just want to mix that flour with the residual fat that's in the pan here. Good. Now we go to the hob. I've now got the heat on underneath that, or heat coming on. There it goes. Oven mitt on standby. So, you can just see frying happening now. Just going to let that happen. And the moment I sense that this is starting to toast, we're going to go in with some liquid, which is about now. And initially that liquid is going to be the juice from this orange, if we can get it out. Let's have a look. Don't think we got all of it, but anyway. And we'll have some of this water from the potato as well to deglaze this roasting pan. So now I'm just going to bring this to a simmer and get all of this lovely chickeny fond off of the pan. Quiet. I know you like chicken. So really we just need this to heat up sufficiently that all this fond on the bottom of the pan, which is all the chicken juices that have caramelized and gone sticky and browned, get them to loosen and dissolve off this pan. Okay, well that's some of it. That's the pan that's got the juices that we rescued from the chicken midway cooking. So the rest of this stuff from this pan is going to go in there, but there's still a lot of good stuff stuck on this pan. So another batch of water. I might just switch to a wooden spoon now so I can give it a proper scrape. And we're just going to try and loosen all of that fond. At some point it becomes diminishing returns and we will have to leave a little bit on there for the washing up, but a lot of this stuff's got amazing flavour. This is all the baked sticky juices of the chickens mostly. So yeah, I think that's probably about as much as we're going to get out of this pan now. That's going to go in the gravy pan as well. So this gravy mix, it might need some additional thickening and browning and maybe seasoning, but that's mostly come from the chicken and the potatoes that we've already cooked. So these potatoes now, cool enough that I can probably show you what they're like inside, and we'll have a little taste. They are going to be cemented to the pan by their own crusts, but there we go. So look at that, all this crispy edges. I've got to say, I can't tell the difference between the ones that had the lazy peel with the zester and the lazy peel with the other peeler. I can tell the difference between the ones that were completely peeled versus partially peeled. And I think the lazy peel method does give you a little bit more variety of textures and things like that. But here we go anyway. So that's one of these potatoes. And inside, wonderfully crumbly and fluffy. Can you see that, or is that overexposed? Okay, time for a taste. Wow, yeah, layer upon layer of flavour in there. There was quite a lot of spice and herbs and stuff in there, but some of that obviously didn't end up on the potatoes. It's baked onto the pan, but also some of that gets driven off during cooking, so you do actually need to kind of go a little bit overboard on the seasoning to get back to where we are now. But that tastes so good. These are words you're going to hear me say a lot in this series of videos, but it tastes like Christmas. There's a gingerbread vibe to it. There's a lovely herby sort of stuffing type of flavour. The citrus as well, especially the orange zest. Just really happy with those roast potatoes, so I think we're going to do something like that for Christmas dinner. I should also mention this video, whilst it's not a direct collaboration, I think my friend Babatunde in Nigeria is going to have a go at making something like this, but maybe with some localized changes. So please do check that out and support his channel. There'll be a link in the video description and card. So thanks for joining me, developing my roast potatoes for Christmas dinner. I'll just show you a little bit more footage, which is going to be the rest of this meal, which is not really very related to Christmas dinner, but here it is anyway. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow for the next door in the Advent calendar.